Quick audio note here for a future date. Big tell in the Christian community as to whether or not, God dang, how do I phrase this? As to whether or not they're operating, let me put it that way, whether or not they're operating out of, say, Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, or whether they're operating out of Paul. And obviously, this is very easy to see, especially if you come out. They do not keep the commandments. But here's the big tell, people, is that you will find from Christians frequently that they're always saying the battle is for the mind. The battle is for the mind, right? It's a battle of good and evil. Well, mankind has been fighting that battle of good and evil for a long, long time. But I just want to say here that I think anybody who has ever read the law, the prophet, the Psalms, and the Gospels is going to understand something very, very clearly. The battle is for the heart. The battle is for the heart. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Also, out of the abundance of the heart come the thoughts of the mind. Everything proceeds out of your heart, right? And here's an interesting aside in that the HeartMath Institute, and I would suggest that you guys Google the HeartMath Institute, and they did a really magnificent study on the heart, and what they discovered is that there are more neurotransmitters, which previously they thought you only had neurotransmitters in your brain, but they have found more neurotransmitters in the human heart than they have in the human brain. Man, what does that speak? Well, what's God telling you from that? Simple scientific fact, more neurotransmitters here than here. And that's because your heart is the one doing the talking and your mind is the one doing the receiving, right? Your heart transmits, your mind receives. Everything has a source. So when you hear Christians talking about the battle is for the mind, try and keep these images here, okay? You've got the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, all right? When the battle is for the mind, all right, that is just like trying to end the life of a tree, let's put it that way, just through plucking leaves off the branches, right? That isn't how it works. I live out in logging country, and trees are every tree has a taproot, and that taproot, when the seed of the tree, when the acorn is planted, there is a root that goes down into the earth. There's a growth of that tree that goes down into the earth until the root can tap into water, right? Whether it's a mushy layer of earth or whether it is tapping into, a spring, or whether it's tapping into, there's an abundance of water underground. But anyway, this is what that taproot of every tree goes into. Anyway, so if you want to take down a tree in this regard, you have to lay the axe to the root. You don't just pluck the leaves off, you lay the axe to the root of the tree. What happens? The root dies, the tree can no longer get water, can no longer get sustenance, and it rots from the inside out, and one day it just falls over. That's one way to do it, right? There's a lot of different ways to take down a tree, but this is one. Laying the axe to the root, especially if you're clearing land, right? Getting the stumps out of the ground is the hard part. Easy taking down a tree, man, but it's hard getting at the stump because that taproot goes so deep and those roots spread so wide. If you take a look at a tree, really, there is as much going on under the surface. There is as much going on in the growth of that tree down in the earth as you see as it's going upwards into the heavens, right? As you see the blossoming and of the branches and whatnot. Well, you got a lot of action going on under the surface too. Anyway, point being, I don't want to ramble on and on and on about this. I'm just making a note to come back and listen later. But it's a tell. It's a tell, just like in poker. It's a tell when you hear Christians talking about the battle is for the mind. Generally speaking, that means the word has not penetrated their heart, because if it had penetrated their heart, they would understand this is the arena. The heart is the arena, not the mind. Right? I would just like to say something else real quick, too, in that Christians believe, and it's across the board. This one phrase coming out of, Timothy, I believe, study to show yourself well approved. And so when people apply that, and across the board, most folks do, that's how they think they learn the word, is just through studying, through hermeneutics, or just through studying. No, that is not how you learn the word, people. You get the knowledge of the word that way, and thank God the word is written down, right? If it were left up to Paul, you wouldn't have a written word. You wouldn't have anything you could read, right? Thank God it is written down, right? Take your wisdom from the maker of heaven and earth, who wrote his commandments on 2 tablets of stone, so that they would be permanently fixed, right? So that you would never forget them, because they were written down. The way you learn the word is by doing the word. That's how you learn it. You learn it by stepping out, and by obeying his voice. That's how you learn the word. And it's probably why there's a certain song out there that we're all waiting to hear, but only the 144,000 are going to be able to sing it. Why is that? Because they're the ones that actually walked out the word. They're the ones that actually learned the song by living the song. All right, that's how you learn, is by doing. You learn by living what you say. I'll get back to you later.